Welcome to the spoken tutorial on numerical data types in Java. In this tutorial, we will learn about the various numerical data types available in Java and how to use them to store numerical data. For this tutorial, we are using Ubuntu 11.10, JDK 1.6 and Eclipse 3.7. To follow this tutorial, you must know how to write and run a simple Java program in Eclipse. If not, for relevant tutorials, please visit our website as shown. The data type used to store integers is called int. The data type used to store decimal numbers is called float. Let us define and use integers first. Here we have the Eclipse IDE and the skeleton required for the rest of the code. We have created a class numerical data and added the main method to it. Now let us see how to store a number. Int distance equal to 28. This statement stores the integer value in the name distance. The name distance is called an integer variable. Now we shall use the variable distance to print the value stored in it. System dot out dot println in parenthesis distance This statement prints the value of the variable distance. Save the file and run it. We can see that the value 28 has been stored in distance and it has been printed. Now let us change the value stored in the variable. Change 28 to 24, save and run. We see that the output has changed accordingly. Int can also store negative values. Change 24 to minus 25, save and run. As we can see, even negative values can be stored in variables of the type int. The data type int is enough for most of our programming needs, but it can only store values up to a limit. Let us try to store a large value and see what happens. As we can see, there is a red line below the number which indicates an error. The error message says the number is out of range for a variable of the type int. Int takes 32 bits of memory and can store values only from minus 2 power 31 to 2 power 31. To store large numbers, Java provides the long data type. Let us use it to store a large value. Change int to long and add a capital L at the end of the number. Save it with Ctrl S. We see that now there is no error. Let us run it with Ctrl F11. The value has been printed. We can see that large numbers can be stored in a long variable. Now let us store a decimal number in an int variable. Change long to int and change the number to 23.5. As we can see, there is an error. That is because int can only store integers. To store decimal numbers, we have to use float. Change the data type to float and add an F at the end of the value. Save it. We see that now there is no error. Run it with Ctrl F11. As we can see, the decimal value has been stored and the value has been printed. Now let us change the value of the variable distance. Add a lot of numbers after the decimal point as shown. Save it and run it. We see that the output is a little different from what has been stored. This happens because there is a limit to the precision of a floating point number. It is rounded off to the closest possible number if it cannot be stored accurately. Now let us see the naming rules for variables. Add a number 2 before the name. We see that there is a syntax error. This is because a variable name must only start with an alphabet or an underscore. But generally, underscore is not used to start a variable name. Now let us add the number at the end of the variable name. We see that there is no error. A variable name can have digits but not at the beginning. Now add an underscore in the middle of the name. We see that there is no error, which means an underscore is permitted in a variable name, but any other punctuation in a variable name might give a syntax error or other errors. This is how you store numerical data in Java. This brings us to the end of the tutorial. In this tutorial, we have learned about the various numerical data types and how to store numerical data, and we have also learned the rules for naming a variable. As an assignment for this tutorial, read about the other numerical data types and see how they are different from int and float. Java tutorials are available at the following link. To know more about the Spoken Tutorial project, watch the video available at the following link. It summarizes the Spoken Tutorial project. If you do not have good bandwidth, you can download and watch it. The Spoken Tutorial project team conducts workshops using Spoken Tutorials, gives certificates to those who pass an online test. For more details, please write to contact@spoken-tutorial.org. The Spoken Tutorial project is a part of the Talk to a Teacher project. It is supported by the National Mission on Education through ICT MHRD, Government of India. More information on this mission is available at the following link. This tutorial has been contributed by Talent Sprint. Thanks for joining.